Hello and welcome to the BL Context, a podcast series where we talk about the stories behind the news. The co-location scam is back in the news again. Investigations by various agencies show that some brokers used illegal means to set up trade links between the NSE, the MCX, BSE, and other global agencies in West Asia and Europe. Palak Shah joins us today to put things in perspective. Hello and welcome to the show, Palak.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
So, Palak, this scam is like quite old, right? So, what is the scam about?
So you got to understand that colocation scam will not age because every few months, a few weeks, new skeletons are tumbling out of the cupboard, and there is a lot more digging that has to be done by the investigative agencies, be it the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate, the Income Tax, or even SEBI. In fact, several articles have been written by us as to how SEBI left this entire trail in the scam uninvestigated, did not dig deeper. They were just scratching the surface. And it is now that a lot of ramifications of this scam are actually coming out with hawala trades, names of more brokers, how insiders of NSE shared data with the brokers, which they were actually stealing from the National Stock Exchange under the guise of research. So all these uh, investigation has to happen in a better manner than what SEBI has done. So to answer your question, you may feel that this scam had first been highlighted in 2015, but I'm telling you, this scam is not going to age unless and until the culprits are brought to the book. So every time new skeletons, new revelations coming out is keeping this scam young.
Yeah. So, before we go into what the investigators are finding, can you tell us who are some of the main conspirators in this? We know for a fact that the former NSE chief was questioned by officials in Tihar.
Yeah, so the key conspirators in this scam are several brokers who used the National Stock Exchange co-location trading systems illegally in an unfair manner. Another set of key conspirators are those officials and insiders in NSE who aided these brokers in their illegal means and unfair access to gain unfair access to the stock exchange. Then there are a couple of researchers who are very high profile economists in India, who are consultant to the finance ministry, and who are professors at Indira Gandhi Institute of Developmental Research. So all these people put together, along with NSE officials, brokers, are the key conspirators. As per SEBI's own investigation, whatever has come out. But you also got to find out who is the godfather behind them. Who are the people who are actually their handlers, who are running this entire scam from behind the scene. So I strongly believe that there is enough evidence to dig deeper. There is enough evidence to know who are the godfathers. But the investigation by all the agencies is half baked. They are taking a lot of time to move ahead. They are very slow and behind the curve in this investigation, is what I can say.
So, who are the investigators? ED is searching, CBI is searching, SEBI has released its report. So, who are investigating and what are they searching for?
So I will tell you the simple way to understand this scam is that data was stolen from the exchange. That data, why I am saying it was stolen from the exchanges, because the National Stock Exchange was not sharing such crucial data with any other market participants that they were sharing with some researchers. So this data was taken from the National Stock Exchange under the guise of research, and these researchers had password access to NSE servers, which is what has come out in SEBI reports. So the scam was simple, that they stole this data. Based on the data, they created softwares that could give unfair access to NSE colocation servers. These softwares were used by various brokers to connect to the National Stock Exchange trading systems. And that trading generated them a lot of profits. It has come out in various investigation reports and forensic audits that when they were connecting to NSE via the old system that was prevalent between 2010 and 2013 or 14, they were making higher profits compared to when there were certain tweaks made into the system. So this clearly shows that unfair access to NSE colocation servers was involved. So this is the gist of a scam. Now, who is investigating? SEBI is done with its investigation. Most of it was based on the forensic audit reports. When it came to questioning and punishing people, SEBI hasn't done enough. Although several leads came out uh, while questioning some of the key players in this entire algo trading scam, SEBI just let go of them with a rap on the wrist. Now comes CBI. So when did CBI come into the play? In 2018, CBI registered its first information report into the scam, naming one broker from Delhi, few other people uh, who were linked to the National Stock Exchange, and some unknown SEBI officials. Now, CBI has gone pretty slow in their investigation up to 2022. They made no arrests into the scam. So in 2022, when Business Line first reported how a so-called unknown yogi was guiding NSE MD Chitra Ramakrishna on her day-to-day dealings of the stock exchange, then how to influence certain important bureaucrats in PMO office and finance ministry and New Delhi. When this story came out, it is then that CBI actually swung into action and they arrested Chitra Ramakrishna. Just a week ago, Business Line did another story on how a Delhi broker had this hawala operations via various countries, and he had established this links of passing money. It is then that CBI again swung into action and arrested this broker. So every time that we are reporting, it is only then CBI is reacting to those reports. What CBI needs is action. They have questioned several key players, and all those key players are on the radar. So I think that chain, that link by link, uh, arrest of people, questioning them, puts the scam into perspective. How the software was made, how the key loopholes were found out into the trading system, who are those who pass the information with regard to the loopholes, who are those who actually kept those loopholes in the design of the system from beginning, and who are those in the National Stock Exchange, uh, in the upper echelons of the National Stock Exchange, who are those senior officials who looked the other way, and did not fix these loopholes and deliberately allowed these brokers to gain unfair access to the National Stock Exchange trading systems. All this, what I have said, is backed by enough evidence. I think the CBI needs to take them in, question them, and it is only then that this matter will progress. And as I said, the godfathers, who were the godfathers behind them? So it is then the names of real godfathers will come out. There is enough evidence. Business Line has written, other media houses have written about it. So I think what the CBI needs to do is act, which they are not doing. And various investigative agencies have now come in, like there are hawala angle, there is an angle of how global linkages with stock exchanges were established. So simple thing I will tell you is, You cannot, you being a resident of India, you cannot trade your country's stock market from outside. So what these people did was, through hawala route, they moved their money outside the country, which is in countries like Dubai and various other places which has tax benefits, and those jurisdictions where cash is easily accepted into the banking system. So what they did was they moved their money outside. From outside, they created structures, they created entities, they created companies,
Shell
which
companies, basically.
you can call them shell companies. Shell company actually is defined for those, which are actually, these were, you're right, these were companies used only for moving money and trading. So this can be in a way called shell companies. But evidence has uh, uh, investigations have pointed out that these companies were controlled by brokers in India.
Hmm.
They have found paper trail, they have found digital trail to those companies. So taking all this into account brings a new dimension to the entire scam, which so far, SEBI had not been able to detect, or they had ignored, or was there a deliberate attempt? We don't know, but they did a very limited probe. They did not go beyond, which is happening now. So I think the only need is to move ahead a little quickly, because investigation reports are there, paper trails are there, and there are more than a dozen brokers who have used this system. So what another important point is that what these investigative agencies have done is they have so far caught hold of only domestic brokers, whereas there are large FIIs, some of them who were promoters of National Stock Exchange, who were large shareholders of National Stock Exchange, who got unfair access to National Stock Exchange trading systems, who got preferential treatment. I think the investigative agencies need to move to investigate them, because large trades happened by them also. And there is enough evidence presented in the forensic reports that SEBI got conducted. So I think they need to take a major step in this direction to even get hold of these FIIs who are using this unfair means to gain access to NSE systems. So that is still lacking uh, in terms of investigation by CBI and ED. And IT is also doing its investigation. So IT raids have unearthed some major paper trail in this scam. So I think all this is good enough to bring the perpetrators to book.
So, why are the investigations moving slowly? What's behind the slow pace of investigation?
So, as far as I can see, this scam is not by lay people or very low class people in the society. This scam goes to the upper echelons of bureaucracy, upper echelons of who's who of the financial market. So, I think those forces are somehow trying to influence or managing well in influencing the investigations to go slow. And it is that reason that a scam which was first highlighted in 2015, it has been nearly 8 years now that we are still finding skeletons, each time you look deeper into the scam. So I think it's been 8 years, and this 8 years, this delay in investigation and bringing the real perpetrators to book has been mainly because of the powerful hand that is holding the investigations back, or making them go slow on the investigations, which, and this trail reaches to some of the very powerful people in the corridors of power. So this is where the investigations are going slow. This is as per my observation that I can see. Nevertheless, when I talk to a lot of officials, a lot of lawyers, a lot of investigative officials, they always tell me that this is the way CBI works. They go very slow. They are always slow in their probe. But I think in this case, there is a lot of paper trail now available. So there is enough evidence for investigators to move ahead. And I think that can be done.
So coming back to your story, you were talking a little bit about how there was an hawala operation involved. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what had happened is there were a few income tax raids on brokers and search operations against them. So these raids unearthed a lot of paper trail, which and digital traces, which showed that brokers were moving money from India to UAE, uh, especially Dubai, and there were chits of papers, emails, which has come out, which shows that even cash transactions were involved and how they had passed money. There is a broker who has a company registered in British Virgin Island. So this British Virgin Island company, BVI as they say, is actually controlled by a broker sitting in Mumbai. The address of that BVI company was just a fiduciary address. And all this has been found out by the investigators. They have further written to US, UAE, Singapore, Hong Kong to give data about these companies who are trading from their jurisdiction in India. So uh, these requests under the bilateral treaties have been made by the agencies. So this is what was the hawala. They passed on this cash transactions, these cash passed on cash to other countries. From there they established links to third party data centers in Noida, in Mumbai, other places in India. So the trades came from these other countries to the third party data center, and from third party data center to the National Stock Exchange. So when you have to trace back the trade from National Stock Exchange, your trail will take you to the third party data center, and that's where it will end unless you ask further questions. So this is the kind of ring that they established for trading on exchanges like NSE, MCX, and BSC. Now, of course, trading was much more in the derivatives segment, because derivatives gave them a huge volume pool, and also that aided in the kind of manipulation and unfair access. As a rule, India its residential uh, doesn't allow its residents to trade on domestic exchanges from outside the country. You reside in India, you trade on the Indian exchanges from India. You cannot go to Singapore, you cannot go to Dubai, and from there you can trade in India if you are residing in India. And all these transactions, very important point is, it has been found that all these transactions, linkages, entities that were established in foreign countries were undisclosed in the books of the brokers in India. So all this makes it a fascinating tale of hawala operations and foreign linkages to foreign stock exchanges. There were linkages to China, there were linkages to Hong Kong, Dubai, and Mauritius. So all this is now come out with paper trail and being investigated. So I think it is time that these agencies will act, and they will have to act because there is glaring evidence to show the various linkages and deals. And permissions for these entities to be established overseas were not taken from RBI.
So, what could be the logical conclusion here? One is that these people will get arrested and that will take its own place, it will take its own course of time. What can SEBI do to ensure that this doesn't repeat itself? Has SEBI taken some action in that regard?
SEBI has taken action, but I would call it patchwork.
Mm-hmm.
Every time what SEBI does is, it finds certain, unfair things going on in the market. It comes up with a patchwork. So in this case too, they have done a lot of patchwork. What they need to do is, first of all, it is very important to bring the perpetrators to book. It will restore investor confidence in the markets. India is a country which is known for the law of the land. People, FIIs, come to India with billions of dollars and they invest in this country because they know there is law of the land which prevails over everything else. And that is the confidence which people have shown, retail investors have shown towards India's market. And this kind of a scam actually shakes up that confidence. So to restore that confidence, you need to bring perpetrators to book. And to do that, you have to understand various aspects of the scam. The various aspects of the scam are that data was stolen from the exchanges like NSE and also MCX. So you have to catch those people who stole this data. You have to catch those people who allowed the theft of this data, which are the officials of the two exchanges, that is NSE and MCX. You have to catch them. You have to catch those officials who allowed the various loopholes to remain in the system. Then you have to catch those people who use that data to create softwares, who use that data to give ideas to brokers about the unfair access to these exchanges, who sold that software to brokers. Then you have to catch those brokers who use this software to gain unfair access to the National Stock Exchange and MCX. And there is enough evidence to establish that unfair access was provided by these exchanges. Forensic reports have said it in enough words in their report that unfair access was involved. Officials of National Stock Exchange are on court to say that few millisecond advantage could be gained and the systems could be gamed. So there is enough evidence. There are paper trail agreements, like for example, investigation and interrogation of NSE officials revealed that, they said there were agreements between the researchers and the exchange to share data with them, which was not being shared by anybody, not being shared with anybody else. But when you see those agreements don't have stamp, those agreements don't have date, no witnesses, no notary on that. So those agreements are actually just chits of papers and an afterthought, created as an afterthought when the investigation started. It clearly shows there was no agreement. All this, this entire procedure of sharing data was run on whims and fancies of the former MD of National Stock Exchange, which is Chitra Ramakrishna and Ravi Naren. Now they are the key players. They are the people who allowed this. Officials under them are the key players who allowed this thing to go on for so many years. There is one broker. It comes out in a forensic audit report that this broker, uh, between 2010 and 2015, his trading volumes were to the tune of 26 lakh crore.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
26 lakh crore, it's around 350, $400 billion worth of trading. If you believe that he's made 0.5% profit in that 26 lakh crore worth of trading, it goes into millions and billions.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But he would
Yeah.
have made more profit than that, right? 0.5% is like the most minuscule amount you can think of.
We assume the most conservative figure.
Okay.
We assume
Yeah.
the most conservative figure, and this is just one broker.
Mhm.
Imagine the kind of trading that has been done by the foreign institutional investors who are coming through
Mhm.
Mauritius, who are coming through other tax jurisdictions. So all this is there, and it is because that the former senior officials of the National Stock Exchange allowed it. It was all under their nose, and people in SEBI did not do their work honestly in investigating it. So, to restore confidence of investors in India's markets and financial system and the government of the day, you need to bring the perpetrators to book. You need to show them that India has a land of law, a law of the land which it follows rigorously. You can come and trade in India's market. These markets are fair. There is nobody who can take unfair advantage. And it is then that we will have a robust system, who, a system which people will trust. So I'm repeatedly saying that it is necessary to restore that trust in India's market. Otherwise, people are going elsewhere. Bureaucrats in this country have taken the system for a ride. If you see the scam, people who are involved, the level of people who are involved, they feel they are immune. They can do anything. They can mold the system the way they want. So I think it is necessary to set an example through this scam. And I'm telling you, this scam is much more bigger than Harshad Mehta and Ketan Parekh, what they could have done to the stock markets. Harshad Mehta was 5,000, 7,000 crore. This scam, look at it. One broker trading 26 lakh crore worth of volumes in 5 years. Imagine the kind of damage that other brokers could have done. And this is just milliseconds of trading advantage that they got. So coming back to your question of what SEBI can do, SEBI can do a comprehensive study of how this scam went on, plug all the loopholes with complete overhaul of the policies. I can still see the trading systems of the National Stock Exchange are in a very bad shape. Look how the exchange gets affected when the volumes spike. There are so many technical glitches that the exchange suffers. Every few weeks or say a couple of months, there is a major technical glitch on the National Stock Exchange that disrupts the trading. Look at the kind of technology contracts that MCX has awarded. You know, the kind of technology they wanted for the spot exchange, MCX, they did not get it after 4 years of giving the contract and paying almost all the money in advance. Now a forensic report has pointed out that there were glaring discrepancies in awarding the contract. SEBI is sleeping to all these things. SEBI needs to take the officials to task. It needs to put more vigilance. So, you know, if it doesn't plug all these loopholes, you know, it doesn't, if it, see, you cannot imagine that a certain scam is happening in a certain way, but at least you're not being proactive, but at least you react in a proper manner when the scam has come out. Why are you shielding and protecting the officials, which is very clearly seen that SEBI is doing? In the case of National Stock Exchange, there was forensic audit done. At least the case moved ahead because of various reasons. But in the case of MCX, SEBI has taken no action. People have been allowed to go scot-free. What example are you setting for the markets? Look at the state of exchanges, what has happened in India today. Nobody wants to invest in Indian exchanges. There was George Soros who was investing. There were US exchanges who wanted to buy stake. Germany's Deutsche Post wanted to buy stake in India. All of them have vanished. Nobody is interested anymore because they see Indian stock exchange systems have turned uh, very bad. They have gone for the worse. Nobody wants to invest. They are not coming. Indian exchange space is no more attractive for them. You have shunned this entire investment cycle. So this is where SEBI is culprit. And overhaul of this system, this mentality, this policy is required. Strict vigilance is required. Setting an example is required. SEBI is doing a patchwork, bits and pieces here and there, catching some small stock market operators. I don't think you're there for that.
Is that is that an institutional problem, or is that because is there something deeper there?
100% it's an institutional problem. And this problem is that too many powerful people have had a free run for too long in the system. They have not been kept under a check. There is a cabal. They have created this cabal of top officials, of bureaucrats, of IAS officials, of SEBI officials, of exchange officials. You need to break this cabal. They have had a free run for too long. You need to set examples. You need to put a watch on these officials. Caesar's wife is supposed to be, uh, you know, above the, you have to be above the average. You cannot say we are doing average work. The salary these exchange officials are taking, their annual salary package is 15 crore rupees.
Oh, okay.
10 crore, 15 crore, and that is just, you see the severance pays. Chitra Ramakrishna, when she moved out of the exchange, just by serving 3 years as the MD and CEO, she took home 55 crore rupees in severance and other pay. Just imagine what this, the kind of earnings these people have, and no checks.
Hmm.
They were running the exchange like their own fiefdom. They locked up SEBI officials in their room who had come to investigate them. Chitra Ramakrishnan and Ravi Narain. For 3-4 hours, those exchange officials were locked up in a room in the National Stock Exchange. So imagine the kind of power they wielded. Even now, the systems, the trading systems, we all can see due to the technical glitches, it is enough evidence to show how bad India's trading systems are. Our infrastructure is creaking. It needs a massive upgrade. It needs a massive overhaul. It needs good people, experienced hand, which you're not bringing to National Stock Exchange. Even now, a lot of politics is being played over the appointment of MD and CEO of National Stock Exchange. Even in the face of the fact that there is good hand available who can do this, who can manage this. BSE had come to on the verge of being shut down in 2009, in 2010, when I was reporting on the exchange. In 10 years, BSE has come to a level where it is not going to shut down. It is fighting. It is worthy of competition. That is the kind of development we need in India's stock exchange space. And that will attract a lot of foreign institutional investors to India. When they see that the systems are fair, currently the problem is that officials are not able to check all these flaws in the system because they are hand in glove. Too long they've had a free run. And SEBI lacks a lot of checks and balances on its own. US SEC, which is equivalent to SEBI, has certain inherent inbuilt uh, systems and policies which keeps the officials under check, which is lacking in India. All this was revealed by the chief of National Judicial Academy in sometime around 2010. All that recommendations made by the former chief of National Judicial Academy of India should be put into practice, and that will bring a lot of reform into India's financial markets, and that is lacking in India. And investigations, the most important point is that these investigations are taken to their logical conclusion. Officials are brought to book. Even the most powerful people, the godfathers who are controlling this, it is then that the people will have confidence over the government of the day. You should not shield them. So I think that is required. That fierce passion to bring these officials to book is required. All those who have shielded these scamsters, all those who have let these loopholes remain, all those who are still protecting them. It is a case, co-location scam is a case of fence eating the crop, which should be clear by now. And if the investigators have that in mind, I think it is then they will be able to take this uh, investigation, the probe, and the matter to a logical conclusion. And it will show people, uh, that India can fight the cabal, the deep state that is there in India's financial markets. India has a deep state equivalent to what US had during the Cold War. In financial market, India has that deep state, and that needs to be broken. You need to break the backbone of that deep state.
So I think the key takeaway from this conversation is that you need to break the chain to sometimes mend stuff. And in this case, the one which is broken is the trust, and the government of the day should do whatever it can to build the trust back. Thank you so much,
100%.
Palak, for joining us today and telling us in detail about the scam.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.